Good evening, YouTube. I'm doing a little bit of work to increase the capacity of my AC diversion load that I built a couple years ago. I've run into a slight conflict between one of the early functions that I added to my diversion load code and then one of the later functions. One of the earlier functions, or actually two functions that are very related, is I've got a sharing mode and then an assist mode. So anyway, I put that code in originally with the assumption that it would only be used a little bit, but now that I've made my system a little more efficient, I'm finding that I'm getting much more of these assist mode operations. So the assist mode is a little bit sluggish in that I have to wait till this diversion load gets up to 100% or 600 watts, and then 15 seconds after that, then the diversion load on the other side can see, oh, this one's maxed out, there's still excess power, so it will ramp up. But like I say, it might take 15 seconds for this one to respond and then another 15 seconds for this one. So that can be 30 seconds before the excess power can be used up. And that's always been there, but it's not been a very common situation. It might only happen once every couple of weeks, for example. And now I'm getting many more assist mode operations, and in fact when you have the cloud edge effect going on, I can get upwards of a kilowatt coming in on this side, and then line 1 needs to pick that up. But the problem is the assist mode code, one of the things I added was if line 1 were assisting line 2, the way that I have the code set up is I don't make any changes to line 2 until line 1 is back down to 0. But when I added the damping code last year to control these oscillations I was getting, for instance, say I have 800 watts coming in on line 1, this guy maxes out at 600, and then the diversion load on the other side picks up the extra 200. And then the cloud comes over the solar panels and blocks the PV input, and all of a sudden there's no excess power. Well, this one's at 200 watts, and then it's got to go to 100 watts, 50 watts, 25 watts, 12.5 watts. It can take maybe 2 minutes for this one to go down, and then finally this one can start at 600, 300, 150, 75. Having that damping code and the assist mode, they're kind of working against each other. My solution is I want to add capacity to the diversion load that I have. So right now I've got a 600 watt dimmer and a 600 watt heat lamp that I'm using as my load. So I picked up another 600 watt dimmer, and that's about the biggest dimmer you can find. You can find 300 watt and then 600 watt, and that way this will be a second diversion load on line 2 to begin with. That way I'll have 1200 watts on line 2, and then, at least for now, 600 watts on line 1. And I'm just trying out a different configuration here, so I figure this would be a little easier to build. I just get an electrical box, I set up an old receptacle, the dimmer, and I just wire everything inside here. Okay, here's a quick look at the diversion load number 3, as I call it. So I have the 600 watt light dimmer and a duplex receptacle here. The bottom outlet is through the dimmer, and then the top outlet I just left as a constant power outlet. And then here's the oil-filled radiant heater. I just wanted the simplest, no frills heater I could find. This one just has a switch here, off, low, medium, and high, and that sets the power. So there's a 600 watt coil here is the low setting, and then the medium setting is a 900 watt coil, and then the high setting is both of those coils for 1500. So I just keep this on the 600 watt setting, and then this one just has a thermostat built in, so if you get over temperature it will shut off the heater. I have it set on the maximum temperature, and I think at the 600 watt setting it'll never get hot enough to shut off, because I don't want this to shut off. I want the dimmer to control it, and most of the time the dimmer's running maybe 200 to 300 watts. So I doubt this will ever shut off. I wanted the bare bones controls. I didn't want any digital display or something where you have to turn it on and off. And all it has is a little indicator here. The indicator doesn't really light up until you hit maybe 50% on the dimmer, because I think it's just powered right off the incoming voltage. But that's my diversion load number 3. Pretty simple construction, just a box, a receptacle, and a light dimmer, and plug it in and it's ready to go.